Hello folks, today we're at Emerald Guitars and we're discussing design philosophy with Alistair. Hey, so let's start at the beginning, Alistair. Why did you choose carbon fibre?
Well, I think that's a question that a lot of people ask, and for most guitar designers, they've had a background in working with wood or something, so it's sort of a natural progression. And for me, carbon fibre was something that was a very natural material for me to work with. I grew up in a family business working with fiberglass, and then when I was in my early 20s, I got an opportunity to work in a Formula One race boat team, the Bud Light race team, working with carbon fibre. And what I discovered there was we were building things that were incredibly strong, incredibly light, and I started to see that there was a kind of a correlation between that and how guitars are built. With a guitar, you're trying to make something as light as possible so that it responds and it's resonant. But you also need to be able to have it strong enough to be able to take the tension of all the strings. So they always say that the best guitar is a guitar that's on the verge of imploding. So with carbon fibre, thankfully, that kind of gives you a little bit of a wider window. So I was over there, I was building the safety cells in race boats. And I discovered that very same method was able to be used to build a guitar.
Yeah, it's quite a leap from speedboat to acoustic guitar, but
it's a big leap. But in my head, it was a very natural thing to do, and it's been a very natural material to work with.
So Alistair, Emerald guitars have a very distinctive shape and have great ergonomic shapes. So tell us a little bit about how you approach the ergonomics in guitar design.
Well, I think whenever I started off, I just started with the very basic form. In fact, I've actually got the very first guitar that I ever made right here. And when I designed this guitar, really I just looked at my own wooden guitar, the other guitar that I owned, and made an exact copy. Probably I copied a lot of the problems that were in that guitar as well. But if you look at how guitars are traditionally designed, a lot of the design is dictated by how a guitar is made. So they're bending flat pieces of wood into different shapes. So that means that everything's quite flat and straight, and that's just the way it needs to be. But with carbon fibre, it kind of gives you a lot more freedom. So over the years, I started to embrace that more and more. I started to look more towards the ergonomics and how to make a guitar more comfortable. And I think the feel of the guitar is an incredibly important thing. You as a guitar player, I know that if you're playing a guitar for a couple of hours on end, just how you interact with it, how it feels, how comfortable it is, it's a very important thing. So I started looking at how we could sculpt the guitar differently, and you want to keep a guitar being a guitar. So it's trying to keep a little bit of tradition. You know exactly what it is. It's a familiar shape, but little subtle tweaks that just allow it to do things a little bit differently. So a lot of it you'll see better on the back. So things like the way we have this asymmetrical side. So the side isn't straight, it actually curves back here. It's hard to see in a camera, but it's a small detail that allows the side of that guitar to sit very comfortably into your knee as you're playing, or into your leg. Also this little bevel here, this rib bevel, allows you to sit comfortably into your body. Forearm bevel, things that you find in some other high-end wooden guitars as well, but it's just much easier to do with carbon. So really move towards comfort. And then I suppose the big recent design innovation that's worked really great for us is the heelless design. So taking away the regular guitar heel and taking the neck right up in there, and that's both made the guitar stronger, but also it gives an awful lot more access. It was one of those things that always felt, well, if you're going to put all those frets on, you may as well be able to reach them.
Yeah.
So so it's definitely been a transition experience of trying things out. You don't want to go straight in with a very non-traditional design, so we're probably going further and further away from tradition as we get more and more confident and learn more about our design processes. And
Yeah, but they really work. The ergonomics, it really does work as a player. Like I noticed, particularly the arm bevel and the rib bevel, it makes it really comfortable to play these guitars.
Yeah, and I think it's hard to get it across sometimes in photographs or in videos, but people often send feedback saying, just when they sat down with it for the first time, it just felt different, you know.
And while we're discussing kind of design, I guess one of the most distinctive design features on an Emerald guitar is the sound hole and the positioning of the sound hole. Can you tell us a little bit about why you designed it like this?
Yeah. So again, going back to the early days, I just thought a guitar had to have a sound hole in the center of the body onto the strings, and that's the way you see every other guitar. So you just assume, well, why would you ever be put anywhere else? But the more I started to look at it, the more I realized that really that's an area that's under an awful lot of tension. The bridge is pulling on the top, and it's always trying to deflect it and push down into this area. So putting a hole here is, kind of it's not an ideal thing to do, and that's why a guitar is heavily braced with an X brace that forms around that to counteract that. But I started to think a little bit differently about it and think, well, is there a different place we can put it? And over the years, we've kind of, I suppose, transitioned further and further away from the center and more towards the side. So initially, the first offset sound holes we did were always on the top here, and then recently not recently, I guess it's 10 years or more now. We started putting them here on the side, so it straddles both the side and the top. And what that does is it's taking away all the stresses from the top. It's putting the sound hole in a place where it really projects well towards the player. So it's all about the experience of the player. So it's almost like having a monitor. That sound just projects really up towards your face, but it also still projects forward, which is important. So it kind of gives the best of both worlds. So it's been a very successful feature that we've then carried across all the models.
This particular model here is all carbon and traditional carbon, but you've also started to add veneers to your guitars. Why did you start adding veneers?
Well, it's actually something that I started doing very early on. It goes back to probably about 15 years ago when I first started working with veneers. And at the very start of it, it was to find a way to make it look more traditional. And I suppose as I've gone further on, it's more now about trying to find a way to make it very individual and beautiful. So carbon fiber is a very uniform material. We use a specific woven pattern, and it's very even from one to the other. Everyone looks exactly the same. And we put different colors over the top. We put reds and blues and things, transparent colors that give it a different look. But still, essentially, it's still the same carbon. So I just wanted to try and find a way to make every guitar have its own unique feel and signature, and I just love doing that kind of custom work. So over the years, we refined the process of adding these beautiful veneers, and it's a very thin veneer. It's 0.6 millimeter thick, so it's almost paper thin. And it just goes in the top surface. So it's a veneer cut out of real wood. It's not a print. It's out of a real piece of wood, and we can use pretty much any type of wood because it's really being used for an aesthetic rather than for structure. So you get all the structural integrity of the carbon fiber, but then you get the beauty of these beautiful pieces of wood. This one is candy stripe Paduc, and
totally unique as well, Alistair. I mean, you're not going to. Even on a piece of Paduc, I guess you're not going to have every piece is never going to be the same. So you're always going to have slight uniqueness about your guitar, which is unlike any other.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone is slightly different, and whenever I purchase these, I'm always looking for the most striking and unusual grain patterns. So it's and I try and buy them in relatively small quantities as well, so I'll get something the next time that's totally different. So we always have a varying range of veneers, but yeah, it's a beautiful part of what we do.
I guess you kind of brought me on to my next question also is how do you actually choose the types of veneers that you use? There's quite a range here at Emerald now.
I choose them really for as pictures, you know. So I'll work with different suppliers, and sometimes I'll go in person, and sometimes I'll go off photographs that they send me, and I'm just looking for things that are just really eye catching and very individual, you know. So we have a range of about 40 different veneers, and it's almost like a color palette. You know, they all have different types of colors, different types of figuring, and really it's a way that you can always have something to match every taste.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So the Emerald guitar range, I guess, is very diverse. So we've got like different models, and lots of different types of shapes and sizes. Why have you chosen the range that are currently in the Emerald range?
Well, I think it really goes back to carbon fiber again. You know, it allows us the ability to do things a little bit differently. So I've always tried to look at the strengths that the carbon gives us rather than the constraints. And carbon gives you the freedom of being able to build things that are under a lot of tension. So that's led us into areas like harp guitars, 12-string guitars. I know you play a lot of 12-string guitar.
Love the 12-string.
And I probably one of the reasons you love the 12-string is because it stays in tune.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So the stability of it, makes it an incredible 12-string from that point of view. But also you can create the tone. So I think the range has been dictated by just opportunities. Things like harp guitars. People don't generally go out to decide they're going to become a harp guitar maker or put that in their line.
Yeah.
But for me, carbon is absolutely the best way in the world to mold something that's under all that tension and such a complex shape. So it's led into a diverse world, but it keeps it interesting.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for sharing your thoughts and musings on it, Alistair.
Yeah, it's always nice to be able to expand the knowledge a little bit and give us some insights on what we do.
Yeah. Okay, Alistair, so in wrapping up, can you tell us any plans you have for the future in relation to Emerald guitars and design?
Well, I think right now what I really want to do is keep on refining the designs. Quality is a big, really important thing. So we're always trying to find little ways that we can make little subtle tweaks and just improve the quality, improve the tone. So I've got some interesting things that I'm working on that they're small but will have big impact. And then in terms of designs, the sky's the limit. Anything that you can build with wood, you can build with carbon. So who knows in the future what kind of models we'll build.
Great. Sounds fantastic. Very exciting. So thanks, folks. I hope you all enjoyed the video and the discussion with Alistair. Stay tuned. We'll have plenty more coming for you. Thank you.